And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Halloween edition of the weekly armchair kickoff. We are doing our Red Devils Roundup tonight, and it's going to be based on the man that, well, you can't see him in the background, but it's going to be about our new man, Ruben Amorim. My name is Darragh. I am your host. I am back after a few weeks hiatus. Everyone who is in and around the channel knows my situation, but I am back on in the meantime. So I am delighted to be joined tonight on tonight's Red Devil Roundup by Kevin and Bill. Bill, it's actually my first time meeting you, Bill, because on Twitter you were the Republic of Ireland blog. Am I right in saying?
And Irish football blog.
Irish football blog.
Yeah, I
But
have my toe in a few places though, but officially I'm the Irish football blog.
there we go. I knew you were. I knew there was one account that you were. I couldn't tell which one off the top of my head. But look, first time being on the show with you, and delighted as always to be on. And Kev, we were on the show before, and we know each other from our socials anyway as well. On top of that, and how are you all anyway tonight, lads? First of all,
bit better than last week.
Open. You will be better last week then, anyway. But I suppose before we get into the bulk of what happened in the last couple of days with Ruben Amorim, we'll start with last night. We'll talk about the match itself against Leicester. Ruben Nistelrooy obviously taking charge for his first interim match. How do you think it went? And like I was saying to you off chat, lads, this is going to be just kind of an open forum. There's going to be no real aiming of the questions at one person. It's an open forum. Have your say, and we'll be talking within the comments as well on top of that. So,
yeah,
who wants to take start as to how last night went in your opinion, anyway?
It went, and I haven't said this about Man United in quite a while, but it went entertaining. You don't hear that much when you talk about Man United, do you? It wasn't miserable. It was good to watch. I didn't have much expectations. This cup, not the match didn't matter that much, I don't think. But so yeah, it was a good watch. We got lucky sometimes, unlucky sometimes, but unlike our last game, the ball seemed to go in the net this time. Just
it
hit post, came out, hit everything, but went in this time.
But someone said it last night, and I can't remember who said it. It was along the lines of just attacking vibes, and I didn't want to compare and contrast, but that sounded very Ollie-esque, the way they were saying attacking vibes. It didn't sit right with me at first, but I was there like, you what? No, after the Ten Hag terror ball, as I'll call it, that we've suffered the last 6 months at the very minimum, at least anyway. It's been nice to watch fluid football, even if it's another Dutch manager at the helm for the moment. Bill, what do you make of that, really?
Yeah, I might be. I probably am a bit alone in the fact that I had still a bit of sympathy towards Ten Hag.
Oh no, of course,
even till the very end. But like, it was the most utter predictable match I'd ever seen. You just knew that it would just all click and the ball would fall right for them as soon as Ten Hag left the window. Like they're the most predictable bunch of players. And my underlying takeaway after the match was actually frustration because like. It's just we're back where we're going to go again. Like, we might as well have interim managers for 10 games and replace them because it's the only thing that keeps the press going.
It's a valid point. It's a valid point because with the way, like don't get me wrong, I remember when Jose left and you had Ollie come in as interim. It was just how do I describe it? It was just how Ollie got the team going again. Like, I suppose, two completely different styles of play from Jose to how Ollie played. We kind of saw firsthand it was more free-flowing under Ollie. Like, I suppose you see Rude taking what looked like a 4-2-3-1 at the start, and then in possession, someone correct me here if I'm wrong, it looked like it was a 4-4-2 in possession, and then back to your standard 4-2-3-1 outside of possession. So, would you say that's the correct way to describe it?
Yeah, but
Ugarte was certainly very deep. It was very deep, so maybe I'd even maybe call it 4-1-3-1-1 kind of formation.
It's like you could definitely see where it was coming at a 4-4-2 at the time because like I remember the ball and it was just the way you had, let's say I'm talking Casemiro and Ugarte, you could just see that they were obviously dead center, primarily say, but it was just how wide Garnacho and Rashford actually were. It just made sense to say it was a 4-4-2 where, or even a 4-4-1-1 where you had Bruno playing off of Xerxes. Oh, there you go. The classic vertical formation. There you go. A 4-4-1-1. It was just the way I even saying to myself, it looked like 4-4-2. I just couldn't see myself saying Bruno was a striker, but he was always a second striker. Really.
I'm not sure the formation or even the patterns in play in general were too different to Den Haag.
It's a valid, yeah, actually.
I think if more so Leicester were just piss poor, for want of a better phrase. I'm no fan of Steve Cooper. I think he's a dog off a manager, to be honest. He's awfully negative. But Leicester still had 16 shots on goal. Which I know a lot of the criticism given towards Den Haag was not so much this season, but last year was the amount of shots they're leaving on goal. Leicester had 16 shots. So
yeah, this is the thing. Then you look at the way Bayern there was in goal, but compared to Orlando wasn't even on the bench, which actually, I'll be honest, even though it was never going to happen, it was a surprise to me that he wasn't even on the bench. It was Tom Heaton in place, and then you had your same back four, but then you're talking about a Leicester second string team where the team, how do I describe it? Basically, Bayern there was the winning goals, but they conceded as many shots as you would have last season to Leicester's second string team, whereas this year we've been a lot more solidified in defence. It just didn't sit right with me, if you get me.
Well, yeah, and I think let's just remember, Leicester had 9 changes going into the game, and they were god awful. I mean, Leicester were really bad last night, so they certainly helped us.
And I was going to say, what do you make of the 2 goals conceded, then, lads? Were they just sloppy, or?
I think
sloppy, definitely.
Yeah, I think Tom Heaton has really. I think he's asserted himself as our number 2 now, because Binder was awful.
Yeah, I suppose you could see where Binder would kind of fit as a United goalkeeper, because especially the way we're playing out the back now with Onana. But I won't say anything against Binder for the first goal, because fair enough, defensively it was a poor goal to concede. But in terms of the actual finish, I won't even attempt to butcher the young fella's name, but the finish itself was quite good. Off the outside, whether it might have been just a slice off the foot and off the post and in, it looked like it was a genuinely good finish. So I actually kind of disagreed with some people on social media to say Bayern's goal was a poor one to concede, or the first one was on Bayern. The second one, no, on the other hand, that was just messy altogether, where it could have been easily cleared up by Conor, or before Conor Cody got to the ball, but still on that one. Was there anyone who actually stood out for you then last night, considering we're going to be talking about the incoming manager and Ruben Amorim? I want to kind of get your view of, obviously, Darragh, some of these players may not fit into Amorim's style of play and his formation, but does anyone really stand out to say they'll slot straight into his team?
I don't know if he'll slot straight into his team, but Casemiro was brilliant last night. He looked 5 years younger, really.
Yeah,
which was amazing. His best game in a long time.
Definitely his best of the season anyway,
yeah. I think that's an attitude thing more than anything, though.
Interesting. I suppose if you were to talk about attitudes, there's always a question of certain players. I'm gonna name a couple of players just to give the example. I'm gonna say people are talking about, let's say, Rashford's attitude, Bruno's attitude. Actually, I'm going to come to that actually in a second there. Okay, that's a great one to bring in there now. The fact that Sean Blass are always injured. Do you think Harry Amass is a wild card at time to come at left wing back? And we'll talk a bit more in depth at that when we're talking about Amorim and his formations and style play. But do you think Amass should have got a chance last night, do you think, lads?
Definitely. Didn't Martinez, when someone came into defense, especially when they were running through the center, he really came pressing out as if he was a center back, and left a big gap at that left back position. I don't know why he's so afraid to play.
Yeah.
Why Erik ten Hag as well, why he was so afraid to play Amass. I just don't get it. He looked brilliant in pre-season, and then the guy disappeared.
Yeah, you see, like, there's this I narrative agenda because, like, Ten Hag obviously brought in Garnacho properly, say. Like, Garnacho was always on the fringes before Ten Hag came in under Rangnick, but he came in Ten Hag, and then you have Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo was always destined for the first team, no matter what. But you see him slowly bringing in the likes of Ethan Wheatley. You have Harry Amass was a standout player in the preseason, and then there was some. Oh, Toby Collier was another one. Toby Collier was basically forced into his Premier League debut by Ten Hag after the first half by Casemiro against Liverpool. So would you nearly say he was been forced to use youth players at certain times?
Yeah, look, on the topic of standout players, I think Garnacho was probably the standout player, but Garnacho has been the standout player all season. I'm not sure if Darragh, you still there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. I was Charles Cameron, I was there.
That's right. But going to the last night, like, United had everything to lose in the game because, as seen by previous regimes, the Carabao Cup means absolutely nothing. It seems to have been Hag's job, and it won't say anyone's job. If United lost, it would have been a travesty, but like it always is, or how it's made out to be. But nothing got none of the win. Like, I personally, because of that, because of winning it will mean absolutely nothing. If Amorim comes in and we win it now, it'll mean absolutely nothing in the end. I would have liked to see Amass. I would like to see Wheatley. I'm not so sure about Xerxes at the moment. He reminds me a lot of. He reminds me a lot of Fellaini, how he moves. And I actually wasn't the biggest critical of Fellaini. I like Fellaini, but he reminds me a lot of Fellaini and not in a good way.
Oh my god, the worst thing is we're comparing an actual striker to Fellaini who was just forced in at striker. I don't know what that says about. It's like, I like Xerxes. I could see, like, it's like someone made a point to me before about how he's basically playing such a big blame there. Like, when you look at, like, in terms of how he plays, it's very similar, if not Harry Kane-esque, where Kane would come back towards the midfield, pick up the ball, and start the movement. But someone actually made the point to me, when at least Kane has people running channels for him, and they're like, you have. It's a valid point to make in one regard, because you do have, let's say, whoever be playing in the wings for Bayern, they'll actually play the channels in for Harry Kane. Whereas, let's be honest, you look at Ahmed, Rashford, and Garnacho, the three of them will probably try and just cut inside and take the shot for themselves at the same time. Yeah.
I think looking when we got Xerxes, I didn't really know much about him, and I looked up his goals on YouTube, and they were all goals you won't score in the Premier League. They're all kind of like the goal Bruno scored last night, kind of round the keeper and tap it in. But you don't score those in the Premier League. You really don't. No, his goals were like that.
It's a valid one, yeah. And I suppose we'll kick on from that to what our bulk of the topic's going to be tonight. And lads, anyone in the comments, please, because we're looking to get everyone's little bit of insight on Ruben Amorim here. If anyone has any bit of insight, please give us in the comments as well. So we're going to talk about Ruben Amorim is a Red. Is this fully confirmed as of yet or not? There's no statement as far as I'm aware. No, I'm just seeing here. We'll be keeping an eye on the statement, because knowing Man United, they could drop it at any point. Because, of course, the news that came from Sky Sport and many media, let's say, is that Ruben Amorim is expected to be officially confirmed as Manchester United manager later on today. Might be tomorrow or at the time it's going to be. So I suppose, open forum, lads, what's next for United? Do we expect anything of Ruben Amorim here?
I just want him to see. I just want them to play good football this season under him. I don't have much expectations. I think he'll be in for the Ipswich game. I assume is
that's what they're saying. Yeah,
when he'll probably start, and by then we could be. If you look at our kind of form, we could potentially be 10 points off the top four with bad goal difference. That's hard to make up if you're for a new manager. Even if you get one of those interim boosts or new manager boosts, it's very hard to make that up. And I just want to see attractive football this season. I want to see it not to be all just so grey like it was with Ten Hag.
I mean, I won't call it all grey because I've said at the start, like I was actually talking to a good friend of mine who I know from America, and he goes to games once a year. He actually made a valid point. Ten Hag's best season was with players that he had got landed with, whereas we've regressed rather than progressed with every season he's brought in players. Is that down to him? Is that down to the players? Like for me, I think
it's down to him. It's down to him. We had 6 Ajax players playing, 6 ex-Ajax players / Dutch players playing for us at one point. And in the same game this was. Yeah. And I was thinking, where do you think Ajax would finish in the Premier League table? And it would probably be about 15th. And that's where,
higher than United.
Like this is the thing, it's like bringing that whole topic of if Celtic and Rangers were brought into the Premier League, where would they finish? It's that kind of discussion, like, because let's be honest, going by how both of them seem to perform in Europe, I would imagine that would be a valid answer, if not relegation scrapping.
Yeah,
like even going up north of the English border, Scottish football is different to English football, and you clearly tell broad daylight, like.
Yeah. Reverting back to Amorim, I do think, now I'm not going to pretend I'm the most knowledgeable about him, but he does seem to me like a standout candidate. I don't think there's any too many you put above him. What I want from him in the coming years and months is slow. I don't care if it's slow or steady, just constant progress. None of this 3 steps forward, 5 steps back, 5 steps forward, 3 steps back.
No, we are not going Stephen Kenny. I'd rather Gareth Southgate than Stephen Kenny.
Why not? Bring Stephen Kenny. Give Ollie the Ireland job and give Stephen Kenny the United job.
Oh, stop.
but like, one thing I will tread with caution with, and we saw it before, when Andrea Villas-Boas came through with Porto and Academica before that, he was 34 years of age. I think Amorim's 38.
39, I believe.
39, I think.
It's just a similar profile. I can't think of someone who's come from the Portuguese league since Villas-Boas. Now, it's a bit of it's not entirely the same thing because 13 years ago now that Villas-Boas came through, but it's not necessarily a guaranteed success just because we've got Ronaldo and Nani and Bruno from Sporting before. Just because we have had success recruiting the players doesn't mean Amorim will be a success. But I will back every manager to the end. I've backed every manager post Ferguson to the end for the most part. But yeah.
Like for me, again, I'm like yourself, but I'm not gonna blag my way to say I know much about Ruben Amorim. I've admired him from a far distance because, like, I'm at the stage now where watching United is enough football for me for the most part. I'll keep an eye on games and I'll watch it if it was on the TV, but I wouldn't sit out to watch every minute of football going on. So like yourself, Kevin, I probably watch bits on YouTube. I see bits on Twitter. I don't know enough about, like, I'd be following the ones who claim to be tacticals on Twitter to get a better idea as to how he plays. But I suppose you go back to the fact that his primary formation is the 3-4-3. Now, I suppose this is the thing. Ten Hag had a profile of a formation and tactics that suited playing at Man United. What I want to believe has happened in the time that Ten Hag had regressed rather than progressed was that he implemented tactics that on paper should work. Whether he had the players that actually wanted to do said tactics is another thing. With Ten Hag, I do believe, and I've said this before, I do think what happened was he had the right idea, but when it came to actually implementing certain things, he threw his philosophy out the window, and it didn't work. What I mean by that is, let's say, managers will be able to, or any good manager should be able to adapt and change the way they play to suit, let's say, if you're playing against Pep Guardiola one day and you're playing against Arne Slot the next day. 2 completely different managers in terms of how they set up. So you're going to have to set your team up the best possible way. to adapt to them. But you keep your philosophy, like you could change your actual formation, but you keep your philosophy and what you actually stand for as a manager in place. Now, did Ten Hag continue to keep his philosophy in place throughout that whole time? I don't think so. That's my view on it, anyway.
I don't know what his philosophy even was.
Sorry, lads?
I'm not sure what even his philosophy even was by the end of the
By the end of the
time. I'm not sure what type of team we were.
I think he tried to, but it just didn't work in the end. But it's the hardest job in world football, so like, it's no fighting him that he couldn't achieve it, to be honest.
And I suppose before we kind of continue on, actually, we're slowly coming to the January transfer window. Darren, who would you sell in January and bring in if we can? Lads, any thoughts on this? And I don't want to be hearing it, like, as tempting as it sounds to bring in your man Ugarte and Humlin from Sporting with Amorim coming through the door. I don't think it's the right move after we've seen with Ten Hag bringing his former players in.
Yeah, I don't think we can bring anyone in anyway.
I'd say if we are in a loan job,
I don't think we actually can.
I'd say it'd be a loan job if we do bring in anyone.
I think I know that you can make the argument where we need strengthening everywhere, and we probably do. But I think the fullback areas are a serious issue.
Yeah, like I suppose we've been running off two fullbacks in Dallo and Mazraoui, and we're very thankful that both of them can play on either flank. Not that we're just lobbing one over to the other side for the sake of it.
I trust Mazraoui. I am not Dallo's biggest fan. I never was. I never will be. I don't like what he offers as a fullback. I don't think he's good enough to play the role he does. And traditionally, I like my fullbacks to be like the traditional bombing down, up and down, a bit like Gary Neville. Like,
yeah,
even Rafael Silva previously. I think Rafael Silva would do a much better job in the national team.
You forget how much of a workhorse he was actually.
My ideal, I'm not sure about the money being there or not, but my ideal scenario, and I've been saying this for the last, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years, I'm watching. If you get Jeremy Frimpong in at some point, I actually think he's not even playing every game for Leverkusen this season. I don't know that.
Okay, actually, I didn't know that.
Well, he's looking here now. He's 13 games, 1 goal, 6 assists, but he's only 828 minutes. So that's
okay.
He's not playing every game. I don't know what. I can't tell you what the situation is, but he will be someone I like, and I know people question his defensive ability. I think he could play in a back four, and I don't think Amorim will be playing with a back four anyway. But like the one about Trent being the best right back in the world, I certainly don't think so. But if Trent can play in a back four, I think Frimpong can play in a back four.
I think Frimpong's right foot though.
Because, like, I suppose I look at the way.
Do we need another right back?
See, I was going to make the point about right backs not necessarily.
If you have Frimpong and Mazraoui, I think you're okay.
Yeah, but I suppose I look at, not to say because it's the Portuguese national team, it'll be all the one. You look at the way the Portuguese national team set up now, they're currently playing a 3-4-3. Last time I checked, it was, anyway. And when Dallo plays, he plays in that kind of right wing back kind of scenario. So will he kind of fall into place there?
You'll suit him a lot better.
I think that Dallo held Portugal back in the last summer more than Ronaldo did, anyway.
But it's interesting you say that, because I've heard a lot of people say that. Like, fair enough, I know you could put João Cancelo over to the left wing back role, say. But I heard a lot of people say when he was playing at right wing back, Dallo tried better than Cancelo there. No, someone called me off of that, like, but that's what I would. I suppose I wouldn't pay attention to the national teams as much.
Yeah, so I can't pretend I watch Portugal every week, so I can't comment. But I think from the game between Cancelo is an infinitely better player than Dallo, and he'll probably win the league this year with Barcelona. So
now, while we're still on the topic of ins and outs, if we got rid of Antony and we got rid of Eriksen in the summer transfer or the winter transfer window, does that allow us to bring someone in?
We're not getting rid of Antony. Who's going to take him?
Chelsea are in from. I will die in this hill. I don't care how shit the source is. Chelsea are in from.
I think
Chelsea,
Anthony
a dumpster of
Anthony for left
players
wing
no
back. I
one
think.
wants.
I know, honestly, I don't care how much he was moaning and groaning about playing left back or left wing back in those pivotal games. He done a shift there. So Chelsea, if you're listening,
he did a great job. And I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago, one of the best left back performances or left wing back performances I've seen at United in the last, say, 5 or 6 years was, remember when Tahi Chong played there?
Oh my God, yeah, actually.
Against was Wolfsburg, I think. I'm not sure it was Wolfsburg.
Is he still in Luton, is he?
That, but like,
Throw 5
I think
million.
that's United. That's United's problem. Like, we end up purchasing our squad players. Like, the academy should be providing squad players. Like, you got rid of Evans, should never have sold. Back, should have never sold. Like,
you could go through half the squad that Louis van Gaal got rid of, and you could actually say
Chicharito, Rafael.
Like
Rafael, it goes back to Louis van Gaal, really. That, yeah, I think I was watching and wouldn't forget what it was, but he made a great point. He said the problem with Man United over the last few years is they've backed their managers too much in the transfer window.
I suppose,
and I agree.
You can see that because I suppose you kind of take a note of that, thinking. I suppose look at the last couple of summers. Ten Hag's players were brought in. Ollie wanted ex-players. He didn't get some because Glazers wanted to bring in Ronaldo. Say, for example, he wanted to bring in Rice and someone else, and then he got Ronaldo instead. So I suppose Ollie was probably the only one who didn't get back enough, shall we say, in the aspect of his own players coming in.
Yeah, the problem isn't which hasn't been the managers appointed. It's been sticking with a coherent strategy. Like, you can't go from Ferguson to Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho to Ollie to Hag. Like, if you look at teams that are successful and it's under a smaller margin for successful, like Brentford and Brighton, they have a coherent plan. Every manager they appoint, every player they appoint is within a standard deviation of the next. That's what you have to do. I think United have appointed the right managers probably in the last 10 years, but in the wrong order. So if you like, you need a personality. If you needed a personality after Ferguson, I think if you got Moyes in, or maybe even Van Gaal or Mourinho in, and then after Ferguson, it might have worked. But yeah.
No, here's a question for you because to tie recruitment in with Amorim. Actually, there's talk that Amorim was in place at the summer because of the fact that we bought Ugarte, and going with the fact that Ugarte was pivotal to Sporting's first title under Amorim in, was it 20 years nearly? Is that kind of side to say it was Ugarte, or sorry, Amorim was the plan the whole time? Because it just seemed
that doesn't make much sense though, because he was our last signing. So we brought in De Ligt, Xerxes, and Mazraoui before we got in Ugarte.
Yeah. So like you could get, like apparently Ten Hag wanted Darragh.
Yeah. I don't think Ten Hag wanted Ugarte.
No,
the signings were so bad this summer. They were so bad.
We've heard all the reports at the time that was it McTominay wanted, or sorry, Ten Hag wanted to keep McTominay but not buy Ugarte.
And he would have been right to say that, I think. But anyway, that's another way.
Going after way that player playing, yeah, definitely. Like
that's another hill I'll die on, and Scott McTominay should never have sold. But I think that's the broader point there. I think the PSR rules are the most destructive thing in football. Like, it's completely devaluing what an academy player should mean. And I know we're United, we bring through academy players every year.
Yeah.
But like, it's the completely wrong way that it's set up. Like, the rule is well intended, but it has the entirely opposite result.
Yeah, because they're obviously
money laundering.
Pure profit from like it's pure profit from academy players and all this kind of crack. Like, it makes sense, but the way it's been abused now from the standpoint of, you saw the way before the PSR deadline how Chelsea, Aston Villa, and Newcastle were all dealing with each other for inflated prices for players who may not have even played Premier League minutes for like 15, 20 million ago. And it's just one way over to the other for the inflated prices for the sake of PSR. Like I said, in hindsight, it's great, but it's just been used and abused, and we're all getting sick of it now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
Well, I think Chelsea had a squad of like 65 players or something this summer, so...
I believe it going after Tom Bowley wins
But
trigger happy.
even comparing Ugarte to McTominay, like McTominay was on peanuts of wages. Ugarte is probably on, I'd say 3 or 4 times more than what McTominay was on.
Oh, easily.
So
Easily.
His contract was running down a bit, though.
It's bonkers accounting, though. It's just bonkers accounting.
And like, before we move on there, Bill, I will actually say one thing. And I love McTominay, don't get me wrong. I was absolutely devastated to see him go. I still would have sold him before I would have sold Fred. That's just me.
Yeah.
Going off of how we played last season, you could definitely tell a Fred would needed more than McTominay.
I'd have sold Lindelof 5 years ago, but here we are.
Oh, but here we are, exactly. Myself and yourself and Keane are on the same hill on that one. But I suppose with this now, we're talking about recruitment, but we'll bring it back to the current players now. With Amorim coming in, bringing his new formation, bringing his philosophy in, is there anyone in the current setup who would actually benefit from him? Because I'm very curious. I want to say Highland would thrive in his setup the way, like you look at the way that Sporting went to, was it Coventry or Bristol? So I think it was Coventry for Ugarte, and just look at him. No, again, different leagues, different setups.
Yeah, it was Coventry.
Coventry, thank you. He's thriving up there, and he will get a big summer move now as a result of, because apparently himself and Humeland are unhappy with the fact that Amorim's leaving mid-season, because apparently both of them were going to leave for big money moves to different clubs this past summer, but apparently Amorim wanted both to stay. So, without bringing Ugarte and Humeland in, we'll talk about our current setup and current squad right now. Is there anyone who will get the rub of the green from Amorim, or will someone actually step up and say, "This is my role now"?
It certainly makes me nervous, the 3-4-3, because he plays a very high line. And if you look at our defenders, I mean, it's fine when you have defenders like Saliba and his name's completely gone. The
Gabriel?
Tottenham Dutch
Van de
centre
Ven.
back, Van de Ven. Players like that to play a high line centre back, but when you have a counter attack and it's Maguire, De Ligt, and Johnny Evans, that would make me very nervous now. If it's a counter attack with Haaland or whatever running in behind, that's a problem. But Dallo could be good. I think Dallo will get a big boost.
Yeah, I was kind of making that point earlier with the fact that you play a 3-4-3 in the national team. He tends to play in that right wing back role.
Yeah.
So it might suit him a bit better than playing in the back four, where he has that third centre back out kind of more towards the right in order to cover him, so to speak, whereas he could bomb down the wing that kind of way. Like, that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh no, I was going to say let you work with her, Bill.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Like, there obviously will be a player that comes out, because there always is, even under, under Radnick, was it?
You had Elanga, you had
Elanga. Like, there's always going to be someone, but like, if you look at the players that I expect to perform, they're under the manager. They're the players performing already. Mainly is performing already. Garnacho is performing already.
Mm-hmm.
Martinez hasn't had less times, but he's performing. De Ligt is performing. Some people are going to make calls for Ahmad, and I like Ahmad. I'm a fan of Ahmad, but it just towards the end was a bit of the Van de Beek complex about him, that people are going on about how he wasn't in the team and Wavington had playing him, and it's Anthony's fault. Anthony's been given like 180 minutes this year. Like, Ahmad not playing hasn't because of Anthony. Den Haag must not have fancied Ahmad, but there's a player there, but I don't know if he's as good as what people are expecting to be. I think the natural... Yeah.
I think it's because Ahmad has the fluidity of playing in different positions. He might thrive that a little bit more. It depends on that. Obviously, I think Amorim's going to stick to his 3 at the back formation, but it's how he builds around the rest of the team. Then, because like I'm talking 3-4-3 here, but he might change it to a 3-5-2. He might play a 3-4-1-2. He might go. He might go with a Pep idea and play 3-1, whatever he plays. Like,
I think the natural name that will stand out to me is Ugarte, so because like he clearly wasn't the Den Haag signing. Amorim has worked under him. You'd imagine if Ugarte thing, but then again, we said everyone expected Van de Beek to come alive under under Den Haag, it didn't happen. So
yeah, no, like I suppose you make the point there about Ugarte. Like he stood out for me anyway last night because just finally getting to see him get a proper run of it, basically under you talk about interim bounce, new manager bounce. He looked like he just played well though last night, and had a
I think you're after cutting out a bit.
stability about it. Whereas for me, no, I think to try a bit more, but again,
you're kind of out there.
Shit. Hear me, lads?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's in now.
Yeah, do you hear me? Yeah,
I know.
I was going to say, I
yeah.
don't know what's going around my internet there for the last 10 seconds, but anyway. But as I'm saying there, like, it's the fact that Ugarte will be in that better setup now under a manager he worked under once upon a time. Obviously, as we had made the point there, it's going to be a case of Ineos signing over Ten Hag signing for Ugarte, really. And I suppose I'm not too sure how familiar you might be. Obviously, I don't know you well enough to comment as to whether you talk about the youth team enough. But how would you find that Amorim will benefit in terms of youth promotion, as it's a common theme about Manchester United all over the years? Because I remember reading a stat yesterday, and it was like over the course of his time, was it last season or the year before, over the course of those couple of seasons, he brought up 25 youth players since becoming a Sporting manager, I believe it was. So, like, you could tell he definitely trusts the youth system in Sporting Lisbon. And I think the fact that, as things stand, he's meant to be coming in during the international break. Most of our senior players will be going on international duty. So he's going to have a chance to see the young players in training. And I think that'd be beneficial for the youth team, because under Ten Hag, there's going to be a case of, like we were discussing earlier, he only had to use youth when he wanted to or when he was forced to. But he always had the option of bringing him onto the bench. And like we saw last night, Ruben Amorim immediately bringing in, albeit only as far as the bench, he brought in Wheatley, but he brought him on. But you also had Jack Fletcher, Jace Fitzgerald, and you had Harry Amass on the bench. So obviously the fact that these boys are going to be on the bench now, you kind of have to imagine they're going to be on the bench in games to come as well.
Yeah, look,
well, I think you have to remember. No, go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's a part of the remit as United manager. Even I'm going to even say success without brought-in youth isn't success. I'm just thinking about it now. What age is Wayne Rooney's son? How long do we have to wait for him to come through? Because if he's acting like a father, he'll be there in 16 years of age.
Because I was going to say, how old is Kyle Rooney though? Actually, yeah,
I think he's 14. 2 years.
14. Give 3 years. If Amorim's still here in 3 years, he'll be promoting him, no doubt, I'd say.
I know, yeah.
Then again, you look at the young fella.
Ten Hag, you have to remember, Ten Hag had 6 players who he had signed that he had to keep in the squad because it'd be embarrassing if he didn't keep them in. So there were players he couldn't promote players to take some players' positions because it would be embarrassing for him. The signings were so bad.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how Anthony stayed in the squad for so long. I don't know if we'll ever see Anthony again, really.
I hope not.
That could
I
be
personally hope not.
I think we will.
I'm sorry, if you need a stretcher to go off for what has been now determined as a sprained ankle,
I think the problem, Anthony, was the price tag and the wages, not himself. If he'd been a 20 million player akin to Dan James, I think we'd view him a lot differently.
Maybe, yeah. But then again, a lot of people had a lot of high expectations for Dan James. Having said that,
I think
Anthony would be great if you were playing FIFA Street on the PS2. Anthony would be a fantastic player.
He's so much fun though. He's just fun to watch.
Don't get me wrong, I always gave him the benefit of the doubt because of everything that went on toward the end of his first season with the allegations and everything. So you could obviously tell if that was going on in the background, then you're gonna have a bit of sympathy from him. But
is there not the case where with Ten Hag gone that there's less pressure on Anthony to perform?
No, because
Well,
this is a
see,
manager who
he's
isn't
not.
tied to.
See, the problem is Ten Hag Anthony isn't a sellable asset, so I'd rather try and get a tune out of him somewhere or another than leave him rotting in reserves. Like you can get a tune you can get out of him. Like
this is the thing. You're looking at a player we paid £85 million, £100 million, whatever way you want to look at it, and you'd be looking to get £10 million from now, like going on the way he is.
His first season wasn't that bad. He scored against Barcelona. He scored against Liverpool. It was just the second season that was awful. Like,
yeah, like
I don't know. I think we should take the L on him and just decide.
Yeah, no, Keane said
cut her losses.
It's a matter of like I read the report again. Like these are the things, but these Portuguese reports, you actually can't determine how accurate they are and how good the sources actually are. But apparently Amorim wants to cut his last or cut out 4 players in the meantime, where Christian Eriksen, Casemiro, Anthony was one of them, and I think Lindelof was the 4th. Keane would be like
after that one.
I can see you could get rid of Lindelof out of them. I don't know about the other ones. Casemiro's wages are few.
Someone correct me. I think Lindelof's at the end of his contract. I think, or Eriksen is at the end of his contract. He's already kind of half said he's halfway out the door this summer. Casemiro, if Amorim actually uses him as rotation for Ugarte, you can actually see him getting some sort of a price tag from in the summer. I genuinely think that.
Yeah,
no, I don't think you're getting any price tag for Casemiro. His wages are so high.
I would say you'd get one for Casemiro before you get one for Anthony, and I was dying on that hit.
I keep Anthony over Casemiro.
Anthony's wages are huge. It could be an Alexis Sanchez situation where we're still paying. I mean, we're paying wages to Inter Milan for like 3 years just to get rid of the guy.
Did he even last 3 years at Inter Milan? That's the embarrassing part.
I think he did, yeah. But we're paying his wages. Like
I know it was said earlier in the conversation,
20% or something of his wages just to get him out the door.
I know it was said earlier in the chat, but people want Alphonso Davies. Well, if we want our current wage structure or to improve it, Alphonso Davies isn't coming to United, and I like him as much as the rest guy. But
no, I'm going to bring in this comment here: Branthwaite, Adam Warden, Anthony Gordon, York is summer signing. Anthony Gordon,
none of them.
No,
not any of them.
But like I suppose Branthwaite of the genuinely in my heart of hearts of the 4 of them, Branthwaite is the only realistic target because like.
They're going to need 2 centre backs in the summer again because Maguire's gone, Lindelof's gone, Evans is gone. So after signing so many centre backs, we need another 1.5 probably minimum.
Yeah, like I
bring back.
I like Willie Cambuala. Like, could he come back?
There's a sell-on clause, and if he goes to another club, and I think we have a buyback on him. I could be wrong in saying that because I know we have the buyback on Alvaro Fernandez, who I think we should buy in January. So,
if you're buying Alvaro Fernandez in January, you have to sell one of Shaw and Malacia.
If one of them is fit enough to even sell.
Yeah, can't. No, I mean, come back to Alphonso Davies. His injury record could land him right on the stretchers beside the 2 of them, so that'd be a big problem.
But I suppose that being funny, he's now correct me here again, lads. He's probably less injured than the 2 of them, and he offers more on the table when he's actually fit.
Yeah, but when he's actually fit, he's had a blown ACL and a few ankle sprains.
You'd hope so, but when they come to United, like. This isn't a Ten Hag problem even. Under Ferguson, the medical department was awful. So,
yeah, I suppose it's beyond it though for me. The problem I have with Amorim
wasn't that bad under Ferguson. This is ridiculous.
Why I would say about Amorim coming in now, and I've said this in the chats before. My problem with him now coming in is with the centre backs we have at our disposal. Especially with injuries on top of that, our best 3 centre backs are not available. Yoro, predict Martinez, because Martinez is having to cover the left flank unless you take the faith in Amass, and then because you can't trust, and I don't mean this in a bad way, you can't trust that. Like we've said, Darragh can work the wing back role already, but can he work left wing back? Whereas Mazraoui is on the right wing back, because I don't know. I've only heard of Mazraoui ever playing left back in the back four. Not I've heard him play right wing back, obviously, but not in the back four line. If you get say he only ever played right back, say. Oh, okay, sorry, Mark, correct me here, because I've been talking about wing backs the whole time. He doesn't play wing backs; he plays winger in the midfield, which means you're gonna have to talk about the output of certain wingers. Rashford's been one to question about tracking back. You've Garnacho, who busted gut for you, in fairness. Ahmed remains to be seen. Like, I genuinely think, and I've said this before about Darragh as well, if you're having issues with him at right back, play him as the right mid or right winger, because his attacking output seems to be better at times than his. Like, you saw the way he bombed up the pitch the last two games between Leicester last night and West Ham. How he was just literally leaving Rashford cover the back line there both nights just to bomb up the forward line. You have to question: is he worth taking the risk of?
My fundamental problem with Dalot is that he doesn't overlap. He never overlaps.
Yeah, that's and I admit I meant to say this earlier. Bill, you're not the biggest fan of Dalot. I always was a fan of Dalot. That's just me personally. But it's just because I saw something in him when I went to a game when Jose had signed him, and I was there like, you know what, this kid could do all right. And I won't lie, I was disappointed that time he got when he went to Milan on loan, because I genuinely wanted him to thrive in the setup. But I heard, look, at the end of the day, we can only see how things go from there.
Speaking of bringing players back, I wonder how Ethan Laird is getting on in Birmingham. Can we bring him back?
Oh, actually, that's not a bad show, actually.
Yeah.
And I suppose
I did a Football Manager say before, and like I basically brought back all the lads. I brought back Laird. I brought back Welbeck. I was only playing academy players.
Oh, you say Welbeck, and then we're talking about the fact that Ten Hag wanted Welbeck into summer.
We should have signed him. Yeah, I would take him again.
An experienced striker, like I suppose, like because when we signed Hoyland, he wanted to bring in Harry Kane, or at least some form of an experienced striker, and he only got Hoyland. So it would not have been the worst to go off of. And I suppose from there, because we know the Talk League is coming right up after this at 9 o'clock, we will wrap things up here, lads. And I'll start by saying thanks to everyone in the comments for engaging. It's actually been a great week to come back, because I knew this episode was coming up, and I knew the fact that Ten Hag hadn't been sacked at the time the episode was meant to go out, and I was there like, oh, here we go. So it's kind of good that I'm talking positively, because I did not, and I'm trying to keep a positive note, and I'm there like, I hate talking negatively about my club, but for once we're talking something positive, and it's been good, engaging chat from everyone. Bill, obviously my first time being on the show with you, like I said at the start, absolute pleasure to be on with you. Kevin, it's not my first time on with you, but again, great to have you on once again. To everyone who's been in the comments, you're looking at Mark, Naomi, you've Nathan at the start, I meant to acknowledge him at the start, Darren, absolutely all fantastic, engaging comments, and it was actually good to give that a little bit of extra to the chat on top of that. So lads, I'll leave it there. And for everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and good night.